I decided to surprise my fiancé when he got a promotion at work. When I arrived at his office, one of his coworkers told me he was in the boardroom with Madam Boss, thanking her for the promotion. I opened the door, and I caught them kissing. That was on Tuesday morning. When Richard called me the night of the previous day, his voice was full of joy. He said, "Baby, I did it. I finally got the promotion." I screamed, jumping up and down, my heart bursting with pride. He had been working at Majimbo Minerals for 3 years. He had always complained about being overlooked for others. I knew how badly he wanted that promotion. I had prayed for him and encouraged him to remain hopeful. Now his patience had finally paid off. "I'm so proud of you, Richard baby," I said, tears of joy welling in my eyes. We had been together for 4 years, through thick and thin. So this promotion? It felt like hours. He said, "Babe, I couldn't have done it without you. You believed in me even when I didn't believe in myself." I smiled and said, "Always." That night, after the call ended, I couldn't sleep. I thought of all the good things that were happening in our lives and thanked God. There were so many prayers that were being answered. Just a month ago, Richard had proposed to me. The proposal was grand. He took me to Paris on vacation and proposed when I least expected it. The ring was expensive. In fact, it turned out to be the most expensive thing we ever owned. I knew it must have been a huge sacrifice on his end. His pay wasn't that much, and the ring cost $11,000 US. He said he'd been saving for that moment and wanted it to be special, and I believed him. At that point, I didn't know that our vacation and the whole proposal thing was sponsored by another woman. Anyway, I said yes, and wedding plans were in motion. We bought the wedding dress and started planning the wedding. We decided we were going to do a beach wedding and booked a spot. My friends teased me about being the upcoming Mrs. Richard Adebayo. My mother had even started buying lace for the introduction ceremony. Life felt perfect. I decided I was going to surprise him the next day, and I started planning. I ordered a cake and a bottle of wine. I wanted to show him that his success was our success. I had no idea that what I was really walking into was the end of us. At that time, I used to stay just outside of Lagos in Oyo State because the living expenses were a bit fair, and I also used to work there as a hair technician. Richard used to stay in Lagos because of work. We were in a long-distance relationship, but we used to meet every weekend and spend time together. The next morning, I woke up early, packed everything neatly, and took a bus to his office in Victoria Island. The ride to his office took about an hour. I found myself replaying memories, like our first date at the university cafeteria back in the day, and most recently, when he proposed in Paris. When I got to the lobby, I told the receptionist, "I'm here to surprise Mr. Richard Adebayo." She smiled, clearly amused by my bottle of wine and cake. "Aw, that's so sweet. Go up to the 6th floor, office number 3. He's inside with the boss, thanking her for the promotion." My heart beat fast as I walked to the elevator, adjusting my blazer. I could already picture his reaction, that stunned smile, that deep laugh, that tight hug. But as the elevator doors opened, I heard something. A sound that made my heart skip. A woman's laughter. It was soft, low, and familiar. I had heard that same woman talk to Richard on calls a few times. Richard had told me it was his aunt. The door was slightly open. Inside, I heard his voice, low and flirtatious. I froze. He said, "Madam Boss, you're not serious. If people find out about our affair, I'm finished." Then her voice, "Who cares? You're my star boy. You forget I am the boss here. Even if they find out, they can't do anything about it." My stomach dropped. There was pin-drop silence. I decided to open the door further. I pushed it gently. And there he was, my fiancé. The same man I'd prayed for, supported, fed, and loved, kissing his boss. Richard pressed Madam Boss against the wall, kissing him with the kind of passion I thought was reserved only for me. His eyes widened when he saw me. "Amaka," he said, like he'd seen a ghost. The woman quickly walked past me like I was invisible. I stood there, trembling, the cake box slipping from my hand. "You were kissing her?" I stammered. He stepped closer, guilt all over his face. "It's not what you think." "Don't you dare," I snapped. "I saw everything, Richard." My heart shattered. Every dream, every plan, every promise gone in that moment. He tried to hold me. I slapped his hand away. I collected myself and went back to my place. Later, that night, he came to my apartment. I didn't want to open the door, but he kept knocking like a madman. "Amaka, please, I can explain." When I finally opened, he looked miserable, like guilt had drained all his color. "Explain?" I said quietly. "Explain how you were kissing your boss at work?" He sighed. "It wasn't planned. She's been flirting with me for months. I tried to avoid it, but she's powerful, Amaka. She's the CEO. I couldn't just reject her. I needed that promotion." I stared at him in disbelief. "So you traded your loyalty for a job promotion?" He looked away as he said, "I did it for us." "No," I whispered. "You did it for you." He reached out again. "Babe, please." I stepped back. "Don't call me that." There was a long silence between us. Finally, I said, "You know what hurts the most? I was on my way to celebrate you, and you were busy humiliating me." He started crying, but I had no sympathy left. The following weeks were brutal. I couldn't eat, couldn't sleep. I deleted his pictures, but somehow his memory refused to delete from my mind. People at work kept asking why I looked pale. I just smiled and said, "I'm fine." The wedding group chat buzzed daily. Decorators, caterers, my bridesmaids. I stared at my phone for days, unsure how to tell them. Then one morning, I finally sent a message. It read, "The wedding is off. Thank you all for your love and support." That was it. No explanations, just closure. My phone buzzed with calls, but I only picked my mother's call and explained everything to her. She understood. Richard's mom also called, wondering what had happened, but I respectfully told her to ask her son. One night, Ada, the receptionist, called. "Amaka, I just want you to know I'm sorry." I said, "It's not your fault." Then she added, "Honestly, people in the office talk. Richard has been close to her for a while. Everyone knows. Rumor has it that she's the one who gave Richard money for the vacation, the ring, and the proposal." My heart broke even more. The proposal ring felt like betrayal wrapped around my finger. I took it off and flushed it down the toilet. I realized I'd been in love with a version of Richard that only existed in my head. Slowly, I started rebuilding. I threw myself into my business, a small online fashion brand I'd been running on the side. Pain has a way of turning into power when you channel it right. I wanted to drink away my pain, but I chose to channel that anger into my business. I worked like never before. My design started gaining attention. Orders poured in. Soon, a popular influencer tagged me on Instagram wearing one of my dresses. Overnight, I gained thousands of followers, and for the first time in months, I smiled genuinely. I stopped stalking his Instagram. I stopped wondering if he missed me. I stopped blaming myself for not being enough. I never saw Richard again, but sometimes his name still crossed my mind, not with pain, just memory. I didn't need to know what became of him. His chapter in my life had ended, and that was enough. It has been 2 years now, and my brand has grown. I have branches across Africa and beyond. I'm doing well for myself. My brand has grown beyond what I ever dreamed. Here's what I've learned. When life hurts you, don't drown your pain in alcohol or bad habits. Turn that pain into purpose. Pour it into your dreams. If you like raw and relatable stories like this one, be sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel. See you in the next one.